On a bitterly cold evening in a quiet suburb, Angela Thompson's heart pounded as she drove through dimly lit streets in search of her missing daughter. The wind howled outside her car window, echoing the desperation inside her. Earlier that day, Angela had called the local police station multiple times, pleading for help when her daughter, Mia, fingered from their front yard during a routine playdate. Each call had been met with the same dispassionate response, a reassurance that officers were too busy to treat her case as anything more than a minor incident. At the station, officers moved briskly through the corridors, their focus set on routine administrative tasks and ongoing investigations deemed more pressing. Amid the hum of daily operations, Angela's urgent appeals had been reduced to another overlooked request. Her worry grew with each passing minute, and the community's silence in response to her distress only deepened her resolve to find an answer. In the quiet of her modest living room, surrounded by faded photographs and the remnants of a once happy home, Angela clutched a crumpled piece of paper. It bore a phone number, a number whispered about in hushed tones among neighbors during times of crisis. The note, scrawled in careful, almost reverent handwriting, promised help when all else had failed. With trembling hands and a heart full of both desperation and hope, Angela dialed the number. The line clicked, and for a brief moment, silence reigned before a firm, measured voice answered. "This is the Accountability Hotline. Please state your emergency." The voice was neither warm nor cold, but carried the weight of authority and the promise of change. Angela, with tears streaming down her cheeks, explained the plight of her missing child and the indifference she had encountered from local law enforcement. Every word was laced with raw emotion, a mixture of fear, sorrow, and determination. On the other end of the line, the voice listened intently. "We understand your pain, ma'am," the operator said calmly. "I'm initiating a full-scale response immediately. Please remain on the line." As Angela clutched the phone, a series of events began to unfold at the police station. Within minutes, the call had triggered an automated protocol, a rarely used emergency measure designed to override standard operating procedures when a call for justice was truly dire. Inside the station, alarms began to sound, echoing down sterile corridors and alerting every officer to an impending accountability review. Screens flickered as internal systems were commandeered to display the details of Angela's case, a case that now demanded immediate attention. Officers who had been previously dismissive found themselves frozen, as the digital bulletin board lit up with the stark reality of a missing child and a mother's desperate call for help. At the same time, the station's chain of command was forced into an emergency meeting. Lieutenant Rebecca Mason, a seasoned officer known for her strict adherence to protocol but also for her underlying compassion, was summoned. The briefing room buzzed with urgency. "We have an override command from the Accountability Hotline," the sergeant announced, his voice strained with disbelief. "All resources are to be reallocated immediately to assist in the search for Angela's daughter." As the news spread, the station transformed from a place of routine neglect into a hive of frantic activity. Officers scrambled to gather equipment, dispatch units were reassigned, and every available detective and officer was ordered to treat the call as the highest priority. The sudden change in direction was palpable. The very institution that had once brushed off Angela's pleas was now fully engaged in a mission to restore its credibility. Meanwhile, Angela sat on her threadbare sofa, still on the phone, her eyes red from crying yet burning with a newfound hope. The operator's calm assurances resonated with her, a promise that this time her voice would not be ignored. "Help is on the way," the operator repeated. "Your case has been escalated. Stay with us, and we will get to the bottom of this." Within the hour, a fleet of police vehicles was seen racing through the neighborhood. Sirens wailed in the distance as search teams combed every street, park, and alley. The sudden mobilization stirred the community awake. Neighbors emerged from their homes, watching in astonishment as officers worked tirelessly to cover every possible lead. The atmosphere, once marred by indifference, now brimmed with a collective urgency, a commitment to rectify a long-standing neglect. At the station, Lieutenant Mason confronted a group of officers in a closed meeting room. "We must understand that every call for help is a call for justice," she admonished, her tone stern yet laced with empathy. Today, Angela's voice has reminded us of the fundamental duty we owe to the community. Let this be a turning point. Her words, echoing against the sterile walls, instilled a sense of purpose that had long been missing from their routine. The search soon bore fruit. A neighborhood resident had spotted a small figure near a wooded area, and officers rushed to the scene. Under a blanket of tall pines and soft moonlight, they found Mia shaken but unharmed, huddled near a fallen log. The reunion between mother and daughter was tearful and fraught with relief as Angela cradled her child, whispering promises of never letting go. News of the dramatic turnaround spread quickly. Local media and social networks buzzed with the story of the Accountability Hotline, a system that had compelled a previously indifferent police station to act with unprecedented urgency. Community leaders hailed the incident as a watershed moment for local law enforcement, a reminder that every cry for help must be met with immediate action. In the days that followed, the police station underwent a period of introspection and reform. Internal reviews led to the implementation of new protocols, ensuring that every report, especially those involving vulnerable citizens, received prompt and thorough attention. The Accountability Hotline was institutionalized, and training programs were revamped to emphasize empathy, responsiveness, and community engagement. Angela, once marginalized by a system that seemed indifferent to her plight, found her voice transformed into that of a local advocate. Invited to speak at community forums, she recounted her experience with a mix of raw emotion and cautious optimism. "Every mother deserves to be heard," she said, her voice resolute yet gentle. "My call for help wasn't just about my daughter. It was about every overlooked plea in our community." For the police, the incident served as a catalyst for change, a reminder that accountability and responsiveness were not merely bureaucratic ideals, but essential pillars of public trust. Officers who had once seen themselves as immune to criticism were now engaged in rigorous training sessions, while the station's leadership established regular community outreach meetings to ensure that no call for help would ever be ignored again. In a quiet moment at the station, Lieutenant Mason reflected on the chain of events that had transformed the department. The moment Angela's call had shattered the complacency of a system now forced to reckon with its shortcomings was a turning point, not just for the officers, but for the entire community. Today, she mused quietly, we learned that accountability isn't optional, it's our duty. Thus, on that cold winter's evening, a single phone call ignited a revolution within the walls of a once submissive police station. Angela Thompson's desperate plea had not only saved her daughter, but had also reawakened the community's commitment to justice and compassion. And in that transformative night, the echoes of a single, determined voice reminded everyone that sometimes the power to change the system begins with a simple call for help.